Thank you, colleagues. Welcome back. We are going to continue with the debate. I'm trying to avoid calling names of colleagues who had registered here and are nowhere to be seen. No, just let me scan through. I think you can also register quickly. Give them another paper. These ones also register quickly. I give them priority. Okay? You can just register on this behind. No, those who are already registered, I'm going to read you. I'm giving you priority. Yeah? Yes, another one. Yes, you can register on that and you give me. Okay? So, I can see Honorable Onzima Godfrey is here. Patience Nkunda. Honorable... No, I don't want to read a member when they are not here. Okay? Yeah, it's. I saw Honorable Tuka Isaac. Yes, he's here. So I'm reading you. Arero Tom Aza Okeyo. Yes, Siraji. I had seen you. I was waiting for Korimoy because on the list she was number 1. So. Honorable Janet Okorimoy, Honorable Ezama Siraj, Honorable Onzima Godfrey, Honorable Patience Nkunda, and Honorable Abori Agnes. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
If you registered, no, Paparu, I don't. Yeah, Paparu, you're here. You see, there were different papers, so I start with one paper. I have another paper which has Honorable Tuka Isaac, Honorable Arero Tom, Honorable Keyo, Honorable Vako Merisa, Honorable Taringaya, Honorable Kitanywa Sowed, Honorable Paparu Lilian, Honorable Moses Adepe. Yeah, so I have it here. So I'm starting with Honorable Korimoy.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. And I also want to thank the chairperson of the committee on budget and the members and also the shadow minister for the report. Right, Honorable Speaker, I just have a few comments. One is on the priority areas of the budget strategy. When you look at the priority areas of the budget strategy, and you compare it with the budget allocation per program, it looks like the word priority is losing meaning. Because when you see among the priorities, agro-industrialization is number 1, but the allocation to the program is just 2.9% of the budget. And yet this is the program which is supposed to implement so many other activities and programs, including mechanization, irrigation, fighting disease, pests and diseases, and extension services, which is, of course, the fulcrum of agriculture. So, Right Honorable Speaker, I feel this program should be given more money. I also want to agree with the committee on the issue of encouraging all areas in the country to produce perennial crops. Right, Honorable Speaker, these perennial crops can be more economically paying, and it is also good for improving the soil health, which is already eroded. In the submission, the committee also alluded to the fact of allocating money to 2 different ministries, Ministry of Agriculture and Ministry of Water. That is water for production. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think this is a time for us really to make a pronouncement on this, because this has even sometimes caused conflict. You find these 2 ministries, they even conflict on sites. A case in point is Nakonyen Dam in Moroto district, where Ministry of Agriculture went for it, Ministry of Water also went for it. So the best we can do is to put that money for water for production in one pool. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of infrastructure development for universities, I want to thank the committee. We need money for those universities. I'm also happy now that government has taken a step that every sub-region gets a university to support the education of our children. But it is unfortunate, Right Honorable Speaker, that in some areas, land has become a problem. Whereas land is a problem, government has very good will for such universities. But for the case of Karamoja, Right Honorable Speaker, where we have 773 acres of land for constructing a constituent college of agriculture under Gulu University, we don't have money for that. I was there when the Vice Chancellor was requesting for just 10 billion. The land is there. Other universities have goodwill, but they don't have land. The other one, Right Honorable Speaker, is about free compulsory primary education, which the country is envisaging. The best we can do now is to prepare for that kind of program. I take cognizance of the fact that many of our community schools are struggling. Some of them have been struggling for the last 16 years. They have not been coded. In my own district, I think I have 20. Some of them have been in operation for 16 years without coding. This is now the right time for us to prepare to receive the baby called free compulsory primary education.
Honorable Tembo Mjungu. Thank you, Honorable Kolmo.
Right Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. On the BFP, Right Honorable Speaker, I have three things. One is on the theme. The theme is full monetization of the economy through blah blah. Through commercial agriculture, industrialization, all that, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, we know that this country has a section of the population who are under subsistence economy, 39% by some researchers. I find it a bit difficult for this House to say our theme is full monetization of the economy, when we well know that this section of the population is yet to migrate. Much as it is an aspiration, Right Honorable Speaker, I think it needs to be reevaluated because these people are still outside that segment and will remain for a reasonable time. Two, Mr. Speaker, is in the issue of agriculture. I know some of my colleagues have referred to it, but Right Honorable Speaker, you can see in the BFP, the allocation to agriculture is 2.9%. And yet agriculture employs 62% of the economy. It contributes 24% of GDP. Do we need to add, Mr. Speaker, that it's agriculture that feeds this country 100%? But by allocating it so little, are we fair? Two, Mr. Speaker, on the same subject, the funding of agriculture. Funding of agriculture is skewed to external sources. Over 60% is externally sourced, leaving about 35% to be raised by government of Uganda. And you'll be told, Mr. Speaker, that even then, government of Uganda struggles to provide counter funding. And this impedes implementation of most of the projects. Mr. Speaker, I think we need to speak to the ordinary folks. We need to provide more money. We should get more money from government of Uganda to fund MAIF or the agricultural sector compared to relying on the external sources. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, is on the gaps. It is a pity that BFP has not found money for funding the curriculum center. Just 12 billion. And yet we are told we spend 65 billion on stationery and periodicals. Mr. Speaker, why don't we cut 12 billion from periodicals and say we have enough money and fund the curriculum center? Mr. Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. Honorable Zama Siraj. Honorable Zama Siraj. Not granted. Honorable Zama Siraj.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the committee for the comprehensive report that they have submitted on the floor of Parliament. Right Honorable Speaker, my concern is about our revenue. Right Honorable Speaker, we are losing a lot of revenue to nearby countries. On 27th of last month, I was at the border post of Oraba. I happened to interact with the officers from Uganda Revenue Authority. You will find that this issue of transferring number plates to Ministry of Works has really costed us a lot of money. Those districts that are bordering nearby countries, there is that possibility whereby the individuals from those districts acquire motorcycles, they acquire vehicles from other countries. And at the point of now issuing number plates to these people who have acquired those services cheaply from other countries, Mr. Speaker, you'll find that Ministry of Works delays a lot in order to issue number plates. So these people have taken the advantage of getting number plates cheaply from neighboring countries, and they are using them at our expense. So we need to expedite. We need to expedite our level of issuing number plates to these people so that we shall be able to get this revenue from the revenue that we are losing from these people. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, we have elevated some health facilities from grade 3 to grade 4, from grade 4 to district hospitals, from district hospital to regional referral hospitals. I want to take the example of Yumbe Hospital. We are losing a lot of basic facilities that are supposed to be there in order to get those services from those hospitals. Like when you go to Yumbe Referral Hospital, we don't have ENT clinic. We don't have nursing school there. And many other things that are supposed to be there, they are not there. And equally, in those L4 grade 4 facilities, there are also those basic things that are supposed to be there, they are not there. And our staffing level in those health units are not enough. So it makes the community, it makes it very hard for the communities to get those services in those health facilities. Thirdly, Mr. Speaker, I want to talk about the sod work that we are losing a lot of money in, more especially in the area of road infrastructure. Mr. Speaker, you'll find that a road that is tarmac that is supposed to last from 30 years to 50 years is only destroyed within a year. And it makes us to go again in order to rehabilitate and also to fund those roads that we are supposed to have used for more than 30 years. So, considering that, you'll find that there is no value for money as far as those infrastructure works are concerned. We need to do something which is really very possible in order to see that money is not wasted. Going again to do work that has already been done, Mr. Speaker, is really something that is really very appalling. I beg to submit. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Nzima.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to submit on 4 areas: agriculture, health, staffing levels, and the issue of program-based budgeting. Mr. Speaker, as a country, we have taken 4 areas to concentrate on and boost our productivity levels. Area number 1 is agriculture. Number 2 is industrialization, particularly mechanization, agriculture mechanization, production, industrial production. Number 3 is ICT, then services. Mr. Speaker, sir, when you look at the issue of agricultural increase in agricultural productivity, it goes hand in hand with the agricultural mechanization. And when you also go to analyze the NRM manifesto, if you start with the manifesto of 2016 up 2021 and even 2021 and the running, government had promised to give tractors to every sub-county in this country. But since then, for us as a district, we have only received 1 tractor. Even the 1 tractor was provided without the discs up to now, since February. When you look at this allocation to the agriculture sector, much as we look at agriculture as our priority, the fundings do not speak to the allocations to this sector does not speak to our energy we put in terms of speaking and talking about agriculture. So I think we need to revisit this and try to allocate more money to the agriculture sector and also fulfill the manifesto objective that every sub-county must have a tractor. Number 2, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable, for each sector, if you're going to speak for that long, when will others speak?
Okay, let me summarize. In the health sector, Mr. Speaker, sir, I have 2 areas. Area number 1 was the observation by the chairman that out of 27 beds which are supposed to be there for intensive care unit in Mulago, we only have 15. And Mulago is the national referral hospital where other critical sicknesses are referred to. I will request that we look into this and increase the funding. And also the congestion in the Cancer Institute. In the long run, to reduce this congestion, instead of concentrating treatment of cancer patients in Mulago, we should also look into trying to decentralize. We may not go to every regional referral hospital, but we can identify 1 regional referral hospital per region and equip it and also train staff to reduce this congestion on the Mulago. On the issues of staffing level, Mr. Speaker, sir, government has said they have put ban on recruitment. But when you go to some of these districts, I was speaking to my district health officer. He gave me statistics. If you could allow, I will read, but there's no time. I will really think that let's try to revisit this and look into the issue of staffing. Finally, the program-based budgeting. Mr. Speaker, sir, much as we talk about program-based budgeting, when you look at the allocation of these fundings, it will appear the program-based budgeting is not well understood by these ministries. People come here and demand and say we have unfunded priorities, but under program budgeting system, the expectation is that money is given to the programs. Programs sit down, they allocate these monies to themselves. There is no extra money that is supposed to be demanded from Parliament. But you find these ministers come and say, please, I have unfunded priority. But above all, we're operating a cash budget. Here we are saying we have 57 trillion. That means government must sit down, identify the priorities it is supposed to accomplish within the 7 billion. There's supposed to be nothing like unfunded priority. So I beg that the Minister of Finance goes back and reorganizes this, and finally, program groupings. There are many entities that feel they have been robbed.
Kanungu.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chairman and the Committee of Budget and Honorable Semuju for their report. Mine is on energy. Right Honorable Speaker, when you read our NDP 4, it's about achieve household income, sustainability through production, productive, and value addition. We all know that energy it has the direct effect on poverty direction or reduction. However, there is still limited access to sustainable energy in this country. Right, Honorable Speaker, we all know that the communities that have access to energy, the poverty has been reduced to 10.2%. But I want to speak about Kanungu. Today, in Kanungu, we have a problem with electricity. Our electricity is on and off. Even if the rain threatens to rain, the electricity will still go off. How do you expect people, when we don't have access to energy, to be able to do value addition? Mine is to request Minister of Finance and Planning and Economic Development to increase on the funding for the electricity and the last mileage connection, so that we can be able to have many institutions in Uganda connected to electricity. Right, Honorable Speaker, there is no way we can achieve what we want to achieve without enough budget. So I request Minister of Finance to look into this one. When you look at Kanungu hospitals, we have some sub-counties that don't even have health centers, even without health center too. Like in Achunoni, sub-county doesn't have any health facility at all. So I request Minister of Health to look into this one so that they can upgrade health center tools to health centers. And I want to thank government for the money they have been giving us for Kambuga renovation. Though it's a slow pace, we have received $3.7 million, $300 million. We have received 300.7 Ugandan shillings for rehabilitation. 300.7 million Ugandan shillings. Yes, not billion.
Thank you. Honorable Kunhira.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the committee. They have made observation that there have been failure to comply to the law, more especially Schedule 3 of the PFMA 2015. And more especially, they have not given rates for the unemployment and employment. Right Honorable Speaker, that is a key area that the Parliament should demand the Ministry to provide those details. Right Honorable Speaker, there are a number of industries coming up. We thank government. But if you follow to find out where are those workers, you will not find any records giving us the number of workers in those industries. The reason being, majority of workers in those industries are working as casuals, so they cannot be traced. And in that way, government is losing money. They would be able to collect pay as you earn, but they can't, because most of the workers in those areas are working as casuals, whether skilled or unskilled. My second issue, Right Honorable Speaker, is to do with the report again. I've observed we submitted a number of key priorities, but they have not been captured in the report. The entire report just has a small paragraph for the Ministry of Gender, Labor and Social Development. I think this is an omission. The chairman will respond. And yet we have issues, serious issues. One of them is child labor. It has become an international issue. In the last conference of ILO, the government was reported that there is an issue of child labor in Uganda. And of recent, there is another report that is even threatening to boycott our products that are produced using child labor. They involve, among the products is fish, coffee, and others. So I'm wondering why our report, which we very well submitted to the committee, has not been captured. And I want to appeal to the chairman that these details, the key priority areas, be captured in the report before it is adopted. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Honorable Senyonyi, you wanted to make comments and then we continue? No, Chair, you will respond at once. Yeah, we can't go issue by issue.
Right, Honourable Speaker, maybe for the comfort of colleagues, you didn't even call me as low. Normally when you call me, people think you're going to close debate, but you promised us that you're going to avail adequate time.
That's why I called you as Honorable Senyonyi. The end is elope.
There you are. The debate is still on, as you did promise. Honourable Speaker, a couple of issues that have concern with the budget process that we're handling and with specificity, the budget framework paper. Domestic arrears have been alluded to by colleagues. Right now, the amount is 14.6 trillion shillings. This is money that government owes to the people of Uganda. Suppliers, those that have done work for government, contractors, pensioners, and so on and so forth. Government many times actually does not want to add this figure to our total debt burden. I remember last time we had some pettifogging here with the Minister of Finance. They are so convinced this figure should not be part of our debt burden. But you see, government, when somebody does work for you, when somebody provides a service, and you have agreed on a particular amount of money and you have not paid them, you owe them. That's a debt. And I would like government to begin to take it that seriously. Maybe that's why they don't even factor it in a great deal, because this year they're providing about 200 billion shillings. But we're talking about a backlog of 14.6 trillion. Maybe when you begin to consider it as a debt is when you begin to attend to this money.
Maybe Honorable Senyonyi, for the record, which they corrected earlier, the one of Bank of Uganda has been cleared. We are now remaining with 5.
Honourable Speaker, we are waiting for clarity, because again, it was raised to say they have told us they have cleared this, but there has been no ascertainment. So government will need to ascertain that to us. Because truthfully, many times they tell us we have done this. Sometimes you say, government tells us we have sent money for capitation grant, and then members across, they say, but the money hasn't reached. So we shall need that to be ascertained. But the critical point is that this money should begin to be considered as part of our public debt. Let's pay these ordinary people. You are so quick in paying these foreign investors and so on. These are our ordinary people who are buttressing our economy. Can we pay these people? Honourable Speaker, I am also concerned that we have not allocated money for Kitezi landfill victims. I don't know why government does not care about its people. Attorney General, let's not wait for these people to go to court, because they suffered this catastrophe as a result of negligence of government officials, and that's why some have been taken to court. Let's, in fact, don't even look at it as paying, because, well, it is, but can we care about our people? They lost their loved ones. Right, Honourable Speaker, some of these people have not had the bodies of their loved ones recovered, because government reached a particular cap and they said, we cannot trace any more bodies. And I remember there is one man who lost his wife and child. I saw him making an appeal on TV. He said, can government allow us to carry out a funeral service here so that they can have closure? Because he had not up to now recovered the remains of their loved ones. Let us care about our people. This was an emergency. It should have been considered very critically, especially because it was as a result of negligence of government, because these people had their homes neighboring this landfill. Government didn't take care of it, and the catastrophe happened. Let's pay them. Let's take care of these people. Honourable Speaker, maybe relatedly, over 10 years ago, there were people occupying the Nakawa estate. Government came up with a grand idea after somebody approached them and said, we want to put up a satellite city here, in that area. It's actually in my constituency. So people were evicted. In the night, they were crying with their staff. Some went back to their villages and so on. And government told them, don't worry. In a few months, There's going to be apartments built here. You are going to be the first beneficiaries, you. So some of them waited. Many have since died until tomorrow. That did not happen. Government promised that, okay, we are going to shoulder this burden, this inconvenience, and the amount that was agreed upon about 7 or 8 years ago was 17.9 million shillings for each of these households. Up to now, these people have not gotten that little money. Mr. Finance Minister, 17.9 million shillings of 8 years ago is not even the same today. So the longer you take to clear this money, the lesser it becomes because of inflation and many other factors. I don't know why we don't capture these things and we take care of these people. When you make a promise, when you make a pledge, fulfill it, because government said we have inconvenienced you, we are sorry, the apartments we promised you have not come, let's pay you. But those people are always crying, they have not gotten their money. Why? And yet it's not much money. Honorable Speaker, we have talked severally about healthcare. I'm glad that even the majority report is capturing these issues, because some of these matters are not even partisan in nature. Each of us wants good healthcare in our constituencies. Because as you know, any of us, you could be deep in your constituency and you get a medical emergency. While you have resources that can take you to whichever good health facility in this country and abroad, at that time, you need emergency attention. And the nearest will be that health center 3, that health center 4. As we did see it happen to one of our colleagues in Kanungu. He had to be taken to that health center. Can we attend to them? So when we talk about these issues, it's not political. It's for the good of all of us. So our hope is that we will pay attention. Mulago is our national referral hospital. First of all, even the 27 or more beds, ICU beds as we were told, are not adequate for a national referral. But only 15 of those are functional. These matters should concern us. For me, this is a national tragedy, that your national referral has got 15 functional ICU beds. I thought COVID taught us something, that a medical emergency can happen. It should find us ready. Honorable Speaker, I had a constituent who eventually passed on at the Uganda Cancer Institute. A few times I would frequent it. You'd find people sleeping outside, including patients, outside the Uganda Cancer Institute in the cold. Surely, government, let's care about our people. I don't know how we can overemphasize this matter. And I found many people, each time I would go to visit, people would tell me, please help us, please help us. They would be outside in the cold, including patients. This should concern us. Honorable Speaker, we have got a challenge that I have raised here severally about government tax exemptions. I think that the Ministry of Finance needs to put an end to these uncontrolled tax exemptions. They are problematic, they happen so wantonly, and they are abused. Now, does that mean that any serious jurisdiction cannot have that as a policy? Of course not. But we have refused to do this in an orderly manner. Honorable Speaker, as I mentioned, the Minister of Finance here, Minister of State for Finance, General Duties, the Honorable Musa Asizi, promised us, when I raised this matter last year, that by the end of last year they will come to Parliament with a comprehensive taxation policy. We are now in 2025. Where is that taxation policy? Because it would guide, it's not, a taxation policy is not limited to the new taxes you're introducing. It includes things like how you get to exempt, who warrants an exemption and that kind of thing. I don't know why that taxation policy has not come. And yet, you committed to bring it. I know the excuse you'll give is this year we're not introducing new taxes. No, we are planning for the future. But also because these tax exemptions are abused severally. Can we have a clear policy so that we know it applies across the board? So that it is not people who are friends with the minister or whoever who will get an exemption. Let it be clear. And relatedly, Right Honorable Speaker, the question of bailouts has also been abused. I did, together with colleagues, visit Atiak Sugar Factory that's been given 553 billion shillings. We visited Day Biopharma that has been given 723 billion shillings. We went to Rocco that's been given about 265 billion shillings and others as bailouts. And we have said, look, a bailout is something government can do, but let it be properly organized. Let there be a policy so that Ugandans who are struggling, Ugandan businesses, they know this is how I can apply to be considered. But now nobody knows. It is a few people who obviously should be connected that get to have taxpayers' money. Why? Because then people will keep accusing you, Honorable Musasizi, to say those who are getting bailouts, either you are a shareholder in those companies, as ministers and so on. Why do you not have a clear policy so that people know anyone that is hard up, I am employing many Ugandans, I should be able to access so that it is fair. I hope that that can come. Together with the taxation policy, this bailout policy needs to come. Second to last, Right Honorable Speaker, as a country, we need to become a lot more aggressive against the fight against corruption. We need to become a lot more aggressive than we are. We lose 10 trillion shillings per year, according to a report by the Inspectorate of Government. 10 trillion shillings. That's a third of what URA collects. So just think about it. URA collects money, taxpayer money, and a third of it is stolen. This is grotesque, to say the least. I hope that we can become a lot more aggressive. Because, whenever we say, can we deploy more money here or there, government says we have limited resources. If we dealt with some of these bad manners of ours, like corruption, the money will be available. Imagine 10 trillion shillings. How many health centers can that build? How many seed schools? How many roads can be worked on? We need to become a lot more aggressive. We need to make corruption risky. Honorable Speaker, in countries where corruption is not as prevalent as it is here, it's not because they are morally upright or they are very good people. No, their systems have made it risky for people to steal. We need to do that here. Otherwise, we'll keep singing the same songs again and again. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, and this really is for record purposes, when the budget framework paper is being handled by the sectoral committees, different entities interface with them, discuss their budgets, and so on and so forth. The Parliamentary Commission met the Legal and Parliamentary Affairs Committee on 13th January 2025 regarding the budget of the Commission. I'm a member of the Commission. I was not invited for this meeting, as has been the case with many other meetings. One of the members in the committee asked, because it was in the Speaker's boardroom, she was present with 2 or 3 commissioners. When one of the members on the committee asked whether I had been informed, one of the commissioners said, yes, I had been informed. And I kept wondering how. Because commission meetings are not handled through hearsay in the corridors. An invitation is meant to be written so that I know, but I did not know about this. And that commissioner said I had been invited. I do not know how. So I thought this should be on record because it's important that we are transparent how we operate. It is problematic that some members of the commission will be locked out when critical issues like our budgets are being discussed. Honorable Speaker, we do not get to be members of the commission on anyone's invitation. It is by law. So I thought that would be clarified because I know that our budget is part of what we are discussing. Some of us were not party to this. Maybe, Right Honorable Speaker, as Deputy Speaker, you got an invitation but sent apologies. I don't know. In my case, there was no such situation. And I don't know why we keep doing the same thing because it shows there are certain things we are hiding and yet there should be nothing being hidden. I thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Just to make a clarification on that point, I didn't receive an invitation, I didn't attend the meeting, and I don't think it was necessary because the budget of the commission is presented by the cracked parliament. What we did as a commission was to meet much earlier, we approve, and then we hand over to the accounting officer to go and interact with the committee. Now, if some people went and attended, I don't know, but I wasn't interested because I had done my job at the commission level. For the area meeting, I don't know, I would need it to cross-check. But to go to appear before the committee, I wasn't interested because that is the work of the clerk and not me. Honorable Tuka Isaac, then Honorable Arero Tom.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank the chair of the committee and also Honorable Semuju for the reports that they have laid before us. Chair, I'm going to address myself to 3 issues. The first is to start with the presidential pledges. Right, Honorable Speaker, you will recall that presidential pledges have been issues discussed here over time. And by the time the president makes a pledge, we expect that the ministries, departments, and agencies are represented in such engagements. But over the years, you will find that these presidential pledges are not made priorities. When we are meeting the universities, apart from, I think, Mbarara University or 1 or 2 universities, all the universities have big presidential pledges that the Ministry of Education has never captured. And I think on page 178 of the report which was presented by the chair budget, there are 2 universities, which private universities, moreover, selected to benefit from the presidential pledges. And somebody questioned the criteria of selecting such institutions for benefiting from such. And yet, all the government universities that have pledges of 14 billion, 15 billion have never been catered for. Chair, when we look at the priorities of this budget, we are talking about agro-industrialization, tourism, mineral-based industrialization, and science and technology. It is very ironical that even when we are talking about research, the ministers are here, the chairs here, you will find out that the universities, apart from Makerere University, have in fact been denied funding for research. Where even the committee recommended only mere 1 billion. Research is one of the cardinal roles of a university. And now, if we deny the universities money for research, and here we are talking about research, science and technology, innovation, and what have you, it is really irony. So I think Ministry of Finance has to look into that. Chair, one other issue, which in fact, rather Right Honourable Speaker, one other issue which really has also affected us so much is the budget cuts. In the IPFs have been reduced across ministries, departments, and agencies at a very critical time. The ministers here in 2023-2024 financial year, Anyirbu Health Center 3 was allocated 920 million. Honourable Minister, I wish you captured that one properly. But you cut the whole money. The sub-county went ahead to establish, to rent a small house in a trading center. But even the local government could not afford paying the rent. Now the few drugs have been transferred to the office of the LC3 chairperson in Anyirbu sub-county. And this issue of budget cuts, when we look at the IPFs, it is by the Ministry of Finance. Ministry of Finance, I think it is something which is very unfair. And that now takes me, Right Honourable Speaker, to the issue of the unbalanced developments across this country. One colleague said in some places, people are advocating for water for animals. But for us, even where we are asking for one borehole, even a tank, a water tank, the ministry cannot give. And yet in some places, people are asking for dams and whatever, multi-billion projects. That is how unfair Ministry of Finance is. Because when we look at whatever is happening, it is very appalling. In the report, the chairperson of the budget committee pointed out the issues of concern in the education sector. But one of the big issues was the issue of the discriminatory salary enhancement for art and science teachers. This has put a lot of burden on the parents, because as members of the education committee, when we visit schools like Nabisunsa and the like, the parents decided that we cannot afford to have such kind of discriminatory salary enhancement. What they did was just to increase fees so that all the science and art teachers are paid uniform, because these are people who sit in the same staff room. But now, majority of the schools that could not now afford that kind of situation. Teachers are in a bad situation. Schools are practically, if you go to many government schools, there is no teaching and learning. And I want to really say that this issue of the discriminatory salary areas is properly catered for in this budget. Right one.
Thank you, Honorable Okayo. Arero Tom, then Okayo. Honorable colleagues, Rope has a special status. So the time I gave him, you need to work hard to reach his status. So don't say you gave Rope so much time, then you. But that doesn't mean you cross to become a Rope. Yes. Yes, Honorable Arero.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker, for giving me the chance. And I'd like to thank the chair of the committee. In a similar vein, I'd also like to thank Honorable Semu Uganda for his minority report. The theme for the budget is related to agro-industrialization and commercialization of agriculture. Mr. Speaker, agro-industrialization and agriculture can only be possible if we can tackle issues related to climate change. We have issues like change in the weather pattern in most parts of the country. We have dry spell with the intense, strong sun heat, and at times destruction of properties by destruction of crops by hailstorm and so on and so forth, which has led to crop failure, and therefore it is imperative that if we are to really follow the theme of this year's budget, we should consider issues like irrigation, tractors, and as well as mechanization of agriculture if we are to succeed in achieving our theme of budget for financial year 2025-2026. May the government also in a similar vein fast track the construction of the bridge across River Nile in Laropi, in Moyo district, for transportation of perishable goods. Because more often than not, you find perishable goods like tomatoes, cabbages, onions, fresh fish, and so on get spoiled because of the delays at the ferry point. Mr. Speaker, I would like to thank the government for kick-starting the construction of Koboko Yumbe Moyo Road. As I talk now, the work is in progress. Thank you very much, government, and I hope the work will not stall and will go ahead. Mr. Speaker, we are also awaiting for the fast tracking of the construction of Laropi Moyo Afoji Jali Road, because as I talk now, the procurement process is on, and we'll be happy if that can also be fast tracked for transportation of perishable goods. Under education, Mr. Speaker, Moni University had expressed interest in repurposing RP PTC into Moni Technoscience University, but up to now, that has not come to fruition. We are waiting for the result, and I hope all will be okay. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, electricity is the vehicle for agro-processing. Electricity is the vehicle for agro-industrialization. In Moyo district, electricity is unsteady, unreliable. It's always off and on, and we'll be very grateful if power in Moyo is stabilized for encouraging agro processing as well as agro-industrialization. Thank you very much, Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Kayo. Colleagues, we are using maximum 3 minutes.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, me and my colleagues who represent the fishing community have always come to this house with only lamentations. But why? If the fisheries subsector was funded, then our problems and the problems of our communities would be solved. Right Honorable Speaker, the report clearly indicates that the fisheries subsector exported only 5% after producing 5.6%. This is a sleeping giant. The fisheries subsector, if properly funded, can turn around the economy of this country. Right Honorable Speaker, if our people were facilitated with fishing gears, fishing inputs, then the economy of this country would change because of the fisheries subsector. Many fishing areas were provided with facilities to make better the fish we produce, but all these are now white elephants. This should be addressed. Right Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the question of Busoga University, year in, year out, people from Busoga and Bunyoro have been calling on the government to establish a university in these regions. Right Honorable Speaker, the President in his tours clearly, through the Minister of Education, stated that Busoga University was on track and funding had been provided. Today, we are getting to know that even no vote is awarded to Busoga University. Busoga and Bunyoro are calling for actualization of these universities. Right Honorable Speaker, I come from a hard-to-reach area, and like my other colleagues, these are the areas that would be given priority, like my colleague has stated. Whereas other areas have got 2, 3 seed secondary schools. Some of us from the islands, hard-to-reach areas, you find that sub-counties like Lolwe sub-county has no secondary school, Bukana sub-county has no secondary school, Jaguzi in Mayuge district, where the Right Honorable Prime Minister comes from, no secondary school, Bumba, no secondary school, and name others in Buvuma. Right Honorable Speaker, I think this budget and we should address these hard-to-reach areas. Finally, Right Honorable Speaker, I have not heard about money for elections. I sit on Defense and Internal Affairs Committee, and the budget for election monitoring, election was about to recruit 5,000 policemen, and then also to recruit 5,000 polling constables. It is unfunded priority, Right Honorable Speaker. So it is an area that actually we need to look at because we need peaceful elections. Instead, the committee only says that the army requested for money, which is a preserve of Uganda Police Force. It has not come.
Thank you. Honorable Vako Merisa, Honorable Taringa Yabazir.
Thank you so much, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Chair, Budget Committee, and Honorable Semunju for the report. Right Honorable Speaker, for the few years I've been here in Parliament, I want to applaud the Minister of Education for their good system of communication. We as members of Parliament do write to these ministries, but I have confirmed that Minister of Education always responds or gives feedback to our letters. We raise issues through writing requisitions to the ministry. They always respond that, Honorable, if resource envelope permits, we shall consider your concerns. And this resource envelope never materializes. Meaning, this ministry is underfunded. And I have also confirmed from the Budget Committee that there is low investment in education sector. As members of Parliament, as we are the custodians of budget allocation, I am suggesting that this time round, let us support our Ministry of Education, because it is through good education that we can be placed wherever we want to be. And if you come from rural places like me, you will find out that people are struggling with education. We are saying that we have government schools, but members, I want to tell you that parents are struggling. Education has become very expensive. Why? It's because we have abandoned our own government schools. We have shifted to private schools. Because of performance. And how do we perform best? We can perform best when there's good and conducive environment for education, when teachers are well paid, when there's enough money for inspections, for assessments, for many other factors that attribute to good performance. So that is my concern, Right Honorable Speaker. We also emphasized on agriculture, and we are saying we should eradicate poverty in rural areas, not only in urban areas, in rural areas through agriculture. Right Honorable Speaker, we can only assist subsistence farmers to upgrade to commercial farmers when government can invest enough by recruiting enough agricultural extension workers. Because some of those subsistence farmers don't know what to do with even the production we're talking about, the commercial mechanization and so on. All this needs extension workers to us.
Thank you. Honorable Taringa ya Honorable Kutanya Soweto.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. For the record, I was the first in the House, although I'm speaking much later. Yes. I was here with the Honorable Minister and the Honorable Semuju.
No, I'm going by how you registered.
Yes.
So you are the first in, yes, but in the middle in terms of registration.
So thank you, Mr. Honorable Speaker. I will start with the GDP. It has increased from 144 trillion to 154, but the revenue is, tax revenue is not growing in response to that. I believe these tax holidays should be checked. Two, I go to education. My district submitted 4 seed schools in 2021, but the new vision published the list, and my district was left out. So I wonder what happened in the budgeting process. Capitation grant, 6,000 per child per term, translates 75 shillings per day on an average of 80 days in a term. Surely 75 shillings is too little to support a child. Health, USA has recently suspended aid to many countries, including Uganda, and I think we should refocus our budget to make sure that people who are on ARVs are taken care of, and also health center 2s are upgraded to health center 3s, and health center 4s are completed. We created town councils way back in 2016, 2017. But these town councils are not being funded completely. So my town councils, people don't have any services, no roads, no nothing. And then last time, emoluments for LC 1 to LC 5 had appeared in the budget, and the president had indicated that it was good, but it evaporated from the budget last time. I beg that this time it is considered, and LC 1s, their emoluments are increased. Electricity, we have naked poles across the country, especially in Kashar North, since 2021. How shall we promote value addition without electricity? second last, Bwizibwera, Buheju, Kabwohe, Metoma Road. In the NDP4, now it has been listed as pre-feasibility. Yet it has been in NDP 1 up to 4. So what happened? Lastly, domestic carriers. I saw a figure from Honorable Semujo, 14 trillion. So if we allocate 200 billion per year, it will take us 70 years to pay off these domestic areas when we have stopped accumulating any new ones. I beg to submit, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Kitanya Sowed, Papa Lilian, Moses Arepe.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to begin by thanking the committee for the good report, but also I want to thank Honorable Semuju for the good minority report. Right Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on 3 issues. One, on page 7 of the main report, the committee observes that the National Budget Framework paper is in compliance with the PFMA 2015, but runs short of 3 major issues, and one of the issues is the issue to do with the rate of employment and unemployment. Right Honorable Speaker, we just had our recent population census, and in my opinion, the population census should have provided these figures. The committee observes that this is not the first time that on several occasions the rates for unemployment and employment have not been provided. I just wanted the Ministry of Finance to tell us why it has become very difficult for it to provide this essential indicator, yet it is very important in terms of planning. Right Honorable Speaker, there is a pending strike by arts teachers. They have warned that if their salaries are not enhanced, they are soon going on strike. As Parliament, we should be seen trying to answer their cry. My suggestion, Right Honorable Speaker, is that since government does not have enough money, we could enhance their salary by increasing at least by some percentages, so that in this budget framework paper, we put like 5%, the next should be 10%, so that they see that their work is being appreciated. On page 47 of the report, Right Honorable Speaker, the committee observed the issue of Mulago Cancer Institute. And I want to add my voice to the voices of the other colleagues that have talked about this Cancer Institute, Right Honorable Speaker. A few weeks ago, I also visited this Cancer Institute. Right Honorable Speaker, the patients welcome you right away from the first door of the institute. I would beg that in this budget, we should get some substantial amount of money and see that we complete the structures, but also work towards ensuring that we also establish regional cancer institutes.
Thank you, Honorable Papa Lilian.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, the committee reported that we continue to pay commitment fee on loans that we borrow. Right Honorable Speaker, from the time we joined this parliament, especially as the first timers, this has been reported. And the question has been asked, why do we borrow when we are not ready to utilize the money? Instead, we are continuing to spend on some monies that we have borrowed. I think the minister will explain to us why this is happening, and it is continuing to happen. Right Honorable Speaker, I'm from one of the remnant districts, that is Arua district. As of now, until now, my headquarters, my staff are sitting at the city center. Last year, the government allocated some small amount of money to the remnant districts. We've started putting some foundation and latrines to see that we can move. But this financial year, because the logic was that they are giving some small money, they will continue to put some money in every financial year. This time around, there's no allocation for the remnant districts. Right, Honorable Speaker, the people of Arua district cannot continue to move far to the city to access services. So let the ministry take priority on this, and money is allocated for the remnant districts so that they can move to their location. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think there is a correlation between the fact that the commercial banks are not giving enough money to the private sector. The private sector are affected by the domestic areas. I think there's a correlation between that. And that means internally, we are killing our private sector. It is reported here that the amounts that the commercial banks give to our business people is reducing. And it is because our business, local business persons are affected by the domestic areas that they are not getting. If we can't balance that, then we are going to kill the local businesses that we have in this country. Right, Honorable Speaker, I want to urge the ministry to have a coordinated budgeting. We have stalled projects. These universities, let me give an example of universities. They have projects that started 10 years ago. Probably they're in the first floor, second floor. But we go ahead to allocate new structures in other institutions without finishing or without completing, as if we don't have a record of where we started and where we are going. So if we cannot fast track and have a coordinated planning, we are just deceiving ourselves. 10 years, a structure is there, you are allocating money to start new structures. Also roads, Right Honorable Speaker, we have been crying here as West Nilers on our road. The road between Pakwach and Nebi was supposed to be constructed within 2 years. It is almost 4 years between Nebi and Pakwach. Now Nebi Arua, we are here crying over it, when that stretch is not yet even completed. And we are jumping to allocate for other roads when these ones are not completed. So let us have a coordinated planning, and I think that way we shall have quality delivery and have the trust of the people in us, who are appropriating. Thank you.
Thank you. Mother Repair. Okay. Nanda Mafabi, Brenda Nabu Kenya, Kayemba Soro. Colleagues, you don't need to stand up, okay? Yeah. You see, I've learned a reward system. In the morning, it's reward, but indirect sanctioning also. So in the morning, when I came, the ones who were in, I said, whoever wants to submit, register yourself. I've now finished that list. They submitted. Now we agreed we'll be here at 2:30, 2:35. So the ones who were in, okay, I said, if you want to submit, please register. They've also registered. So I've gone on those ones. Okay? So once I finish, then I can pick those ones who came at leisure, who came at, yeah. So, Honorable Nanda Mafabi, so you don't need to stand up, because I have my list. Before I conclude them, I cannot pick you even if you stand up how many times. Honorable Nanda Mafabi, Honorable Brenda Nabukenya, Honorable Kayemba Soro, Honorable Sazi Godfrey.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this goes directed to the Attorney General and the Minister of Finance. As you are aware, under Section 25, a minister has powers to appropriate 10% of the budget without coming to Parliament. And this 10% arises from Section 26 of the Contingent Fund, which is 3.5% of the total budget. I want you to confirm to us that you do these budgets intentionally so that you are able to have the 10% without a recourse to Parliament. If not, why don't we amend the law to say that Instead of the approved budget, what was spent the previous financial year should be the one to be applicable. 2, Mr. Speaker, they talked about ghost schools, and I think education is very important. I have seen a school in Mbale called Mbale Senior Secondary. It is being called under the schools faith-based or for government aid. Mbale is totally 100% a government school. How do you leave schools which are meant to really benefit and you put Mbale? This is on page 386, number 162. I want the committee to explain to us how they brought in a ghost school, which is already a government what? Government school. In fact, we would propose maybe that money is applied to start Mbale University, which all of us are clamoring for. Mr. Speaker, I have noticed this budget every year. If you look through the lists of those people, the projects which are going to be implemented, they have been brought here year in, year out, like the schools, like the health units and whatever. Why? Why do you recycle? We need a commitment from government that if anything stays, and because these are by the only the schools which appear always, and we don't know how they reach the list. I had my brother asking that they put 4 city schools in their area, none appeared. They must tell us the criteria, how they choose these schools, how they choose these health centers, because this is becoming very interesting. Is it because you are members of budget committee, you go and put in what belongs to you, or what? And this must be explained to us. And that's maybe the reason why the president returned the list thing. You are making mistakes. For the first time, we must deal with how did these lists access the lists in the budget committee. 3, Mr. Speaker, I have here a school in Kampala. I can say in Mukono. They are charging 3,865,000. It's a private school. And it's headed by one person in those front bench. 3,865,000 per term. About 4 million. That's a school which can be afforded maybe by MPs. And exactly. Because that's a very expensive school. That means the recourse to other poor Ugandans is public schools. Now, if a public school is not in an area with good teachers, we're in problems. I want to make a proposal that government right now has created many sub-counties. Those which used to be villages are now sub-counties. Those which used to be sub-counties now are districts. I think the policy you made at that time for sub-counties was when they were big sub-counties and big districts. I recall they were initially 39. I don't know the number now. Why don't you go back? We review, because you can either put a school here, secondary school, yet it is in this village, and in the next village, you put a secondary school. Where will you get the children? Where will you get the teachers? I think we should go to the drawing board and review the policy urgently. Where sub-counties have become villages, villages have become sub-counties operations, we look at the distance, we look at the population, and every area will be served. I was in a government school in those years of ours. That was called Busoga College. We would travel school longer distances. And why you are doing this, you are even creating zero grazing. You are bringing people who are not knowing the world. I moved from another district, another tribe. Mr. Speaker, can I know information? Because it looks a very interesting topic.
Honorable, your time is up. Honorable Brenda Nabokenya. I had, as a senior, I had given you an extra minute. So now I saw you donating also. Honorable Nabokenya.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. I want to thank the Honorable Semju for the minority report, and also highlight also a few issues in the major report. Right Honorable Speaker, in the major report, at 4.1, they noted or informed us that research and innovation is one of the budget strategy. And on page 40.1, under the Education Committee report highlights, it is informed that actually research is underfunded. Right, Honorable Speaker, research and innovation funds, if they're invested, that is for the public good. We cannot move our country to develop or realize effective development, sustainable development, if we don't invest in research. Right, Honorable Speaker, I was the Shadow Minister for Education in the first quarter of the term, and we used to have universities come to our committee. Initially, Makerere University used to get 30 billions for research, and all these other universities had to collaborate with that university, Makerere, to do research. But you understand that actually government had introduced new universities that are doing science independently with different programs, and they were collaborating with other foreign universities. And they were not given research monies until we pushed and we made sure that government at least awards these universities at least 2 billion, because their work had stalled. And you find that they are doing different researches. Like Busitema, they were working on fish feeds. They had started a project and they were collaborating with a foreign university. But their work had stalled because they didn't have funds. And you can imagine, we are promoting fish farming. I was in Japan and I saw our tilapia on one of the stalls in the supermarket, and it was very expensive. Now, when it is becoming extinct, we are telling people that you should go and do farm fish. But if a university is now getting into a project that is going to enable farmers acquire feeds, but these universities are not given enough research fees, there's no money for innovation. You find that a university is promised 2 billion and it comes in the last quarter, even not coming, being reduced. A country will not progress if you don't invest in research and innovation. Right, Honorable Speaker, if we are to translate research and innovation into the economic development, we must deliberately invest in it. I don't see any will to invest in this. You find that we have so many projects in place, but when it comes to investing in them, we don't. So I want to urge that this House should actually recommend, Right Honorable Speaker, and we see that we have enough money for these universities, for these scientists, because we will see better agriculture, we will have better medical research, and we can become a hub for medical research and also agricultural research if we invest in research. Right, Honorable Speaker?
Honorable Kayamba Soro, Honorable Sazi, Honorable Konigarongo.
Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Honorable colleagues, I'm giving you 3 minutes, so be cautious.
Okay, thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker. I thank both the main report and the minority report from my comrade, the Shadow Minister, Honorable Semujunganda. Right Honorable Speaker and the House, in the latest report of the Auditor General, that's 2023-2024 financial year, it indicates that out of the 355 sub-counties in the country, only 211 have the health center force at the sub-county level. 144 have no health center force at the sub-county level. Actually, in my sub-county where I come from, Butenga Rural, we have no any single health center, be it two of the government in that sub-county. In Honorable Semuju's report, he shows a detailed, wasteful expenditure of this government. Like 132 billions for beddings and clothings, 159 billions for donations, 298 billions for special meals. Right, Honorable Speaker, I think it would be good for this country to relocate this money to build the health centers in those missing sub-counties that have no single health centers and others that have health centers 2 instead of health centers 4, as the NRM government policy says. Right, Honorable Speaker, another issue I want to tackle is about the borrowed loans that will continue to pay interests. For example, in 2022, we borrowed a loan that was going to help the country, especially with those areas that didn't have electricity. Bukoma Nsimbi was one of the beneficiaries. As we speak now, last year, the Minister for Information, Honorable Bariomos, said that we are still finishing the bureaucratic things so that we can start utilizing that loan. We are paying the interest. Bukoma Nsimbi and other districts that have to benefit out of those loans haven't got anything. Why do we borrow money when we are not ready to utilize it? Thank you very much, Right Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Sazi. Honorable
Thank you,
Konigar
Mr.
Wango.
Speaker. In the same way, I want to thank the chairperson of the committee and the Honorable Semujunganda for the minority report. These reports are the same, only that the conclusions differ. Semuju is right. Honorable Semuju is right basing on his body, and the chairperson of the committee concludes differently. But Honorable Speaker, Right Honorable Speaker, this is what I want to say. As Parliament, we should not surrender our responsibility. We should not eat our cake and then we have it. I have had a number of submissions from a number of honorable members lamenting about our priority areas. But again, when it comes to approving or passing, we pass everything. I wonder where we are, how we define priority areas. So, one, the budget framework
Gospel
paper,
like we've never seen before. Just in 2024, we had...
Which means if we get lost from the start, we shall have got lost, even at the final.
But before that, let me...
What am I saying?
Raise
Section
a couple
9,
of questions maybe to guide us.
Public Finance
I
Management
don't know
Act
if that is
says
possible.
we should be, the budget framework paper must be
One,
consistent with the national development plan.
Is there
And we have
anybody among us who
that,
did not see this coming?
The plan proposed 92 trillion.
I for one,
and the budget has
I saw it
57 trillion.
To be where we
I
are
wonder
now.
who was guessing and which is which. Another point, Mr. Speaker, we need to be realistic. You cannot talk about priority areas and you leave out power, you leave out roads, you leave out hospitals, you leave out education, primary pupils. It is clear that each child is given 20,000, which means 6,000 shillings per term. I wonder what we are doing here, which means members, we should be for Ugandans. We should not be for someone. We should be for Ugandans. It comes to hospitals. There is a problem of corruption. I was reading somewhere, the IGIG was saying we lose 10 trillion. I compared this amount to
Thank you. Honorable, the time you needed, like the other money which we needed, the way you used your time, I think you went beyond. Yeah. Honorable Koni Garwango, Honorable Namuga Goreti, Honorable Kawus Moses.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. Right Honorable Speaker, I would like to thank the committee chairman who presented the report, and Honorable Semuju. They have very good reports. However, in those reports, I have a few concerns that if they are reconciled, I think we'll move forward. Right Honorable Speaker, as an educationist, I'm going to basically zero in education. you're very much aware that they say that there's no money for the new curriculum for A-level. And we have a few days to start the term, and in a few, maybe in a few weeks or a few days, results will come out, and we'll need our children to go to attend school. I don't know if we don't have the 7 billion really for the curriculum to NCDC. I don't know the fate of our children in this country. Because if the technical team in the Ministry of Education has the children of Uganda at heart, this should have been a priority, other than putting it as a non-funded priority. Because it's quite crucial that our children have to go to A-level with the new curriculum. Right Honorable Speaker, I would also love to speak about the staffing levels in universities. Right Honorable Speaker, we know that with inadequate staff, there can be compromise of standards. Right Honorable Speaker, some universities, like Busitema, has as low as 10% staffing level. Others at 14, others at 19. If really we are serious as a government, we should prioritize this, that human resource is fundamental for a university to deliver. And this can only be done if we allocate resources. And therefore, I'm appealing to this House that we do that as early as possible, because even when they collect their NTR, the NTR goes to the center, and the center takes time to send the monies back, and sometimes the students even want to strike because they pay for the IDs and they can't receive the IDs because the money has gone to the center. And therefore, something has to be done. And Right Honorable Speaker, alongside that, universities have started, but with very inadequate infrastructure. If we deliver...
Thank you. Honorable Namuga, Honorable Kabusi Moses, Honorable Mazari Martin.
Thank you, Right Honorable Speaker. And I continue to appreciate you for allocating us reasonable time. Right Honorable Speaker, this is the time for the 11th Parliament to make a statement to this country that we have the capacity to shape the Ministry of Finance and in the way they do work. Right Honorable Speaker, colleagues have concentrated much on how the expenditure side. We need to get back to the revenue side. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to look into how this country earns money. The loopholes are simply too many. Right from exemptions, we don't have a tax register. If we have it, it is very minimal. Right Honorable Speaker, we need to implement our revenue mobilization strategy. What I'm trying to mean, Right Honorable Speaker and the Prime Minister, is that we need to put much more emphasis on the income of this country. Let us close all the linkages. There are simply too many. Money is stolen from the field, but even that comes to the coffers of this government are misused. So let's look at the revenue side too. Honorable colleagues, we are looking at this budget framework paper, but it is highly consumptive. You have 80% spent on wage and non-wage, and only 20% on capital development. How do we sit here to only plan for 20%? So, Honorable Musas and your colleagues, go back and allocate more money on capital development. We cannot waste time here to plan for only 20%. You are talking about schools, talking about electricity. Where are you going to get the money? These ones have already allocated the money to, State House, go and buy clothes. We are not going to spend money taking it here. So go back and structure the budget. We need more allocation on, yes, you have 80% on consumptive, and we are here wasting time. We cannot continue to waste time, Right Honorable Speaker, in this House. We need more money. Pay attention to the informal sector. You have failed to educate the informal sector. You are seriously frustrating the private sector, and you come here to convince this House that you have money to distribute. Honorable colleagues, this team has no money. They have no money. We have to create for avenues of ensuring that we get more money. I have a strategy, Right Honorable Speaker. Let's get back and structure this budget framework paper. We need to reduce on the 80% of consumptive back to 65%. Create a more provision of 15%, or else we are here joking. Honorable Musas and colleagues, go back and concentrate. We cannot sit here to waste taxpayers' money and time. You are going to ask for the schools, you are going to ask for hospitals, but you don't have provisions of where to get the money. Lastly, Right Honorable Speaker, is fairness in distribution of government resources. We have idle investments. You put poles of electricity for campaigns. Since 2019, the poles are scattered everywhere. You cannot put wires. Now you're creating more areas of electric.
Thank you. Honorable Kabusu Moses. Kabusu. The name I have on the list is Kabusu.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I also raise to support both the majority and the minority report. However, Mr. Speaker, like Honorable Keyo said, the budget allocated to Ministry of Agriculture in most cases does not address the fisheries resources, and it is a sleeping giant unexplored. I want to call upon government, Minister of Finance, to liaise with Minister of Agriculture. Every other time they appear, they tell us they do not have the budget. We hear of agriculture support to animal husbandry and crop. Our fishing communities also require that they be addressed. A comprehensive approach that will also bring on board the fishermen, whether they capture fishers or the ones that rear fish, can raise income like Honorable Namuga has been saying to the economy. Mr. Speaker, we also, in the budget, must address the issue of water transport. Water transport, Mr. Speaker, I want to give an example of a space between Gaba and Ebule along Gaba Road can decongest Jinja Road if there was a vessel that joins Mukono and Gaba. This route would be decongested and people would join the Nyenga route. There are many other routes that are shorter on the water bodies here, but government does less about developing water transport. Needless to mention about the songs we have been making about water transport to the distant island constituencies. Government should, if we are not able in our budget, they should give incentives to investors from nearby countries who have been to Tanzania and Kenya, where the private sector has these vessels. They should give them incentives to come and operate on our waters such that we have safe transport on our water bodies. Mr. Speaker, also an idea I wanted that government adopts. Mr. Speaker, most of our islands do not have schools, primary and secondary schools. For how long, Mr. Speaker, shall our children be raised to become?
Thank you. Martin Mzare, Nekesa Victoria, Mudimi Ignition.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. I want to begin by thanking the two colleagues who have presented their reports. Right Honourable Speaker, I'll begin with the issue of the ministries. Right Honourable Speaker, if you go right now in the Ministry of Works, you'll find that all the offices are empty. All the workers are not there. You go to energy, the same thing. They are idle. They are only waiting for salary. There is no money for projects. There is no money for activities. What is so funny, Mr. Speaker, is that most of us, after reading the budget, we get excited because your project has been considered in the budget. But as we come to the end of the year, there is nothing. This is what is happening. Right Honourable Speaker, On the issue of domestic areas, we've lamented so much, Right Honourable Speaker, on this. Banks, when you go to borrow, they ask for a credit report on your financial status. And that's the standard. The reason why government is able to respond to external borrowings is because they know they still need money from them. And without financing, they will not be able. Right Honourable Speaker, our people are suffering. People are losing properties. People are crying. Government has failed to respond to domestic areas. The local person who has supplied has not been respected. Right Honourable Speaker, we are the banks here to allow government to borrow. Let's just put a condition. For government to come here and ask for loans, you must come here and show that you've paid the local people who are demanding money. If we put that condition, Right Honourable Speaker, this government here will respond. That's the only condition we should have them. Because it's very unfortunate that a local person who has borrowed little money, he was excited to have a contract from government, he executes it, and at the end, he's losing his properties, and we are just looking on. Government, why are you coming here all the time to borrow? Why don't you consider these local people? They cannot now access money in their banks because their credit report.
Thank you. Honorable Nekesa and Honorable Mudime.
I thank the Honourable Speaker for the opportunity to say something. I'd also like to thank the committee and for the good report, and I'm here to support the BFP as it is. Honourable Speaker, I'm in support of what has been passed. However, I would like to request to bring the attention of members here, us as a House, that we support what the government is trying to do, especially in getting the economic base wider. Now, right now as we speak, the head of state, our president, is all over Uganda, mobilizing mindset change, mobilizing people to embrace PDM, to embrace all the government strategies so that we can increase on our productivity and production, and we have the economics right from the household to up at the mega level, so we can harness enough economics, enough money, and build up our economy so that at the end of the day, the NDP4 will be the best. We start slow, we build up. So I really thank everybody for the participation, for the report and the vision of the government. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Mudime.
Thank you, Right Honourable Speaker. Right Honourable Speaker, I want to be guided because when you read 2.3 on page 7, we are looking at the compliance test, where the committee has recommended that the budget framework paper is short of some documents. So they have observed, and they said, the committee observed that the above information has never been provided to Parliament in all previous national budget framework papers. Right Honourable Speaker and members, we are here to make laws and to protect. Now I want to be guided by Minister of Finance and Attorney General. How should we correct this? These are anomalies. We also have issue of contingency fund. It's provided under Section 26 for a certain amount which is not fully provided. At which point should we correct this anomaly? Right Honourable Speaker and members have raised the issue of domestic areas. And when you look at Section 15 of PFMA, commitment of the approved budget, it talks about worker plans, recruitment plans, and so on. and Section 21 of the same law, it said the accounting officers are not supposed to commit